The fight. I've been on dates, some good and others not too good. Either they're a catfish or they're a great catch. Now, I don't judge people on where they live because I've lived in a not-so-great place before, and you got to do what you got to do. There was this guy that we're going to name Colby. Colby was a single dad and was renting a room from a guy that was renting a trailer. We talk for a few weeks, and I start feeling okay enough to go meet him at this trailer. Lord, I wish I didn't go or had him come to my apartment. I pull up to this trailer park, and it's a nice one, so I'm not too uncomfortable. Colby comes out and greets me with the sweetest smile and hugs me. We talk for a second before heading inside. Once I get to the door, I see a man sitting on the floor and another on the couch, and in my head I'm thinking, walk away now. I step inside, smile at the man on the couch and say, hello, to the man on the floor. Both were obviously intoxicated. I'm not even halfway into this trailer, and the man that was on the couch is now in my face, screaming and yelling, calling me the B word and telling me I disrespected him by not saying hello. Colby rushed the guy, and now there is a fist fight right in my face. I don't like screaming and fighting because that was my childhood. I ran to my car in tears because PTSD. Colby comes out with his face bloody asking if I'm okay, and neighbors start coming out to see what was going on. I leave, and Colby is blowing up my phone begging me to just stop, and he will come to me. I stop at a CVS, and he finds me, telling me everything is okay, and that the guy on the floor finally perked up and say, "Oh, I heard her say hello." I refused to go back with him and told him it would have to be another time that we meet. I was a little messed up at the moment, and so was he. I got home and blocked him. It wasn't his fault, and he was just protecting me, but I can't do all of that. It's not my cup of tea and never will be. Worst kiss ever. I met this guy on Tinder who was absolutely gorgeous. Tall, dark, and handsome. He was also older than me by about 7 years and was super intelligent and interesting to talk to. We go on a date and all goes well. We seem to have chemistry, and at the end of the night we have a very promising kiss. But it was fast, right before I got in the Uber. Second date, we spend the whole afternoon together and decide to go in to see a movie at the last minute, and the movie was super bad. So about 20 minutes in, we start looking at each other a lot, and here comes kiss number 2. Started off pretty normal for the first few seconds, but then he proceeds to projectile shoot his tongue into my mouth. His big, stiff tongue violently swirling in my mouth as if he was trying to absorb my face into his. He would grab the back of my head as well, so it made it so much harder to politely back away. I swear his tongue made it halfway down my esophagus. It was mortifying. I was hoping and praying that the movie would be over soon because I didn't want to talk during, since the theater was pretty full and I couldn't very well tell him after an hour of kissing how horrid it was because he would feel so embarrassed. So I was stuck pretending to not be disgusted by the way this guy kissed and wondering how someone so beautiful could kiss so badly. It had to end after that. There's no recovering from kisses that terrible. So I was 18 and naive, and I cried on a Tinder date. So I was new to Tinder and also in a whole new country, and I see this guy whose name is the masculine of my name. Immediately, my "this is destiny" brain turned on. Guys, okay. I was still young, I know it's embarrassing, but okay. I swipe and we match right away, and we start talking. A day or two goes by and we plan to go out on his motorcycle, and then that date goes well, so we go on a few more. By this point, we've only kissed, and he's like 10 years older than me. So I'm really starting to get all in my feelings about this man. Anyways, we go out to dinner one night, and what does he do? I accidentally look over at him when he types something on his phone, and I see that he's replying to Tinder messages on our date. When I tell you I shut down completely, it was all and with a straight face, which if you knew me, you'd know was completely out of character since I'm always smiling. He realized very quickly that something was wrong, and he started asking me incessantly, which only made me more upset. I wasn't going to tell him I was just waiting for the date to be over so I could go home and cry. We go on one last ride after dinner, and he stops us at what I would call the most romantic part of that city. We sit, and I am completely disassociated until I click back into reality for a second when he asked me again what was wrong with me. I finally started to say, inching to every word, trying not to cry. I told him how I didn't care that he was still seeing other people, but I was upset because of how disrespectful he was towards me. I couldn't help it at this point. I did let go of a few tears. I was too nice looking back, but after a long conversation, I saw the look in his eyes change, and in that moment, he fell in love with me. It was as if his eyes twinkled in the streetlights, and he looked at me lovingly in a way he never had before this moment. I was okay for a few minutes. Okay all the way until I got home. I never saw him again. He would text me, call me, and ask to see me again constantly, but there was just something about the whole situation that really pushed me over the edge of being really done with online dating. My Tinder date story. I was on Tinder and I matched with this girl. We hit it off half decent, and it was around 9:30 p.m. Half an hour later, she says she wants to get bubble tea. So I suggest that I pick her up and I'll take her to get some and we can get to know each other and talk on the way there. So she sends me her address and I arrive. She took 15 min to come out. She finally comes out and I pull up beside her. My car makes a psst sound when I let off the gas and press on the clutch. My car has a blow-off valve, so it sounds like air releasing super loud. As soon as I do that, she says, "Can you not do that?" And I couldn't believe the audacity of this girl, so I said, "Whatever. I'll try it out and see if she's better." So we go to drive, and I'm just asking her some things about herself, and she is giving me one-word answers and then tells me she doesn't like small talk. I start to speed a bit, like 20 kilometers over the limit, and she started freaking out that I was going too fast. Then she says she doesn't like my music, so she changed it and put on Russian music. This girl was Canadian-Venezuelan. And I was thinking there is something seriously wrong with this girl. So we get to the bubble tea place and she orders her bubble tea, and she became a bit more talkative. She said she wanted to go to a park, so we went there and walked for a bit. She said she was on Tinder to give people hugs, and she asked me for one. So I gave her one. She then told me to rub her stomach. So she took my hand and moved it to her stomach, and she felt pregnant, just in the starting stages. And I was like, okay, this is really weird now. She kept telling me how she loves shrooms and acid. Now that I think back, she did seem a little high. And I decided enough is enough. So I took her back to her place and she got out. And I made sure she was looking at me. I floored it out of the parking lot and drifted onto the street with my middle finger out the window. As soon as I got home, I unmatched her from Tinder. Worst Tinder date ever.